This is my honest fucking reaction right now, dude. So I'm sitting here and I was just doing my little opening bit to this video, and it just happens to be on this page right here, which is a comic strip put out by Radioactive Blob Fuel. It is currently in issue 2 of Cinema 187, which is our zine. Me, Radioactive Blob Fuel, Trash Dash, my buddy Kyle. We started this zine like last year, and I think it was a really fun time. But this one I'm really proud of because like we got articles. The comic is, it's gonna be so fucking hard for him to top. But dude, I'm looking at it, and I don't know why I didn't pay closer attention the first time around, but he's got on the table where Vincent Price is rolling his dope a fucking copy of Filthy Ralph the comic on the table. That blows my balls off, dude. That is the coolest fucking thing. Awesome Easter egg, man. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fucking believe it, man. But if anybody's interested in picking up a copy of Cinema 187 issue 2 or Cinema 187 issue 1 or both of them, direct message me on Instagram. The account is cinema.187, and you can forward all your questions and queries to that. There's many other comics and zines available, and different extras are coming with different books. So if you want to pick up Cinema 187 number 1, you're going to get a couple of different zines and comics with it. Same with issue 2. So keep that in mind. We're going to move on to sort of the topic of the video, which is just a couple of movies I watched recently. The first one I want to talk about is from 1987. It was directed by Ringo Lam, and it's called City on Fire. It stars Danny Lee and Chow Yun-fat, of course, both from The Killer, which is one of my favorite films, directed by John Woo, of course. But they kind of flip the roles in this film, where Danny Lee plays the criminal, Chow Yun-fat is the cop, and it's a really good fucking flick, man. I'll say this right now: there is a label on this movie that is Tarantino heavily ripped this movie off or lifted ideas from it or scenes or whatever it is. And yes, he did. It's clear, it's obvious. You watch the movie, you'll see it peppered throughout, especially near the end. But like, there's a scene where like Buddy's running down the street, and like I felt like, when Steve Buscemi's like running down the street, and obviously later on where they have this Mexican standoff. It's more or less, it looks like a jail cell, but it's like this little hangout fucking room area. Really like that stuff. And obviously Danny Lee, Chow Yun-fat, they have like the whole, Mr. White, Mr. Orange thing happening, even though like they're not, one of them's not elder to the other, but you get the idea. Really like this movie. If you've not watched it and you like Reservoir Dogs, check this fucking thing out, because it's the cat's pajamas, okay? And before we go any further, let's do something proper and right, okay? It's been a while since I made one of these kind of videos. I was going to initially do the video just talking about City on Fire, but then I was thinking, I've watched a couple other movies recently that are of worth to note. This is like the 15th take of this video, by the way. And every time I would fuck it up by starting it off with looking at the Cinema 187 number 2 in all its glory, and then taking the bong toke. But it just, I ended up taking a few too many bong tokes, and now I'm just euchred. So I'm going to combine all these videos into one. Nonetheless, City on Fire, 8 out of fucking 10. Highly recommend it. In the beginning of the film, there's a scene where a person gets murdered with a butcher knife. Not a meat cleaver, but like a Michael Myers butcher knife. And it's heavily violent. And the thing that I was thinking about when I was watching this flick was, these Hong Kong action, like violent fucking films, and Japanese and all over, Asian films in general are heavy duty violent. So you get the same amount of violence as, say, like a slasher film, but you're getting it in like the broad daylight, or you're getting it in a very well lit environment. Whereas in a slasher, it's always really dark and stuff. So I don't know. I think that you can compare the two a lot more than you might think. I think that a lot of times the action films are kind of like a difficult to describe buddy cop situation, or like buddy drama, whether they're in the Yakuza or they're in like the triads or they're police, whatever it is. you're always going to get that same kind of format and with slashers, you're always pretty much going to get the same format also. Of course, this thing had to fucking turn off. Now I'm in like Suspiria land, but I kind of like it, so we'll leave it at that. The next movie that I watched was From Hell. Now, if you've not seen From Hell, it's a very, polished film. It's directed by the Hughes brothers, who actually did Menace to Society, which is a fucking amazing movie. They also did Dead Presidents, of course, but From Hell, man, has got Johnny Depp, and he's got like his total English accent, which I always loved. And it takes place in like the 1890s or 1880s during the Jack the Ripper era, which I was like heavily, intrigued by at one point in my life. I've always kind of had this obsession with the character, maybe not so much like the murders, but like the character and like the name especially, not so much his deeds and stuff, but his name and, just that he was never caught. So it's kind of like, this guy could still be fucking living among us, At one point in time, people probably could have thought that and been right, because he'd still been alive, but now not so much. But really intriguing movie. I love all the stuff with Johnny Depp, like smoking the opium. I think his name's Ian Holm. He's the guy that was Ash from fucking Alien, but he's basically plays a character by the name William Hull, I believe, who is an actual suspect in the Jack the Ripper case. But near the end of the film, when it comes out that like he's the one that they think he is, they think he's Jack the Ripper, his eyes go black, and I always thought that was fucked. Like, I remember when this movie came out, and I think I might have watched it, might have been one of the, I watched a handful of movies with my grandma, and Scarface was one of them, Godfather was one of them, but I think From Hell might have been one of them as well. I know King Kong was one of them, and the one with Johnny Depp, or not Johnny Depp, excuse me, Jack Black, but it's just I think it's a well-executed film. I do believe there's too much time spent with those fucking annoying prostitutes. I wish there was less of that, more of Johnny Depp getting high in the opium den and having those fucked up visions and stuff. Like, that was some trip, man. Like, I watched this movie extremely stoned the other night, and it just blew my fucking mind. I think it's really cool. Like I said, I've been kind of in this Jack the Ripper mode, and even in my the new zine Cinema 187 issue 2, there's a drawing that I did, and it's over top of a Jack the Ripper headline in the newspapers, so that'll be something to look out for if you end up picking that up. So I appreciate everybody that was involved in making that magazine as well. Also, I can't forget to give shout outs. But the next movie I want to talk about, I think I might have made a video about this movie. I might have even made a video about From Hell during 31 Days of Horror, if not the year that just passed, maybe the year before that. But Three from Hell and From Hell, wow, those movies are pretty fucking similar in title. But Three from Hell, really good movie. I love its use of slow motion. That was one thing that I watched that I was thinking about last night when I was watching this movie. It happens in Devil's Rejects. It happens in House of a Thousand Corpses. Probably one of my favorite moments in House of a Thousand Corpses is when those two cops, one of them's Walter Goggins, I believe is the actor's name. He's like kneeling on the ground with his hands like that, and fucking Otis has got the gun pointed at him, and there's this like long fucking drawn out moment where nothing really happens, and then boom, he just blows his head off. Like, that is crazy. But in this movie, Three from Hell, there's like that scene where the clown's jumping, and it's very fucking weird. And all the scenes where, Baby is fucking firing the bow and arrow. I thought that was all really cool. I think Rob Zombie did a great job with that movie. I do think that there's a lot of reliance on CG blood and CG bullet hits. Now, I know that it is probably a more feasible alternative as to, they could rely on a team of editors to make, some CG stuff, and that's probably more cheap and more time consuming or more time saving than having to reset a scene multiple times, get everybody changed, everybody cleaned, all that stuff. But still, I think with Rob Zombie, it's like, dude, you kind of expect some practical effects, and that's not to say there's not practical effects, but there's a lot of CG blood. And it is always so noticeable, and like the bullet hits, and like the only thing more noticeable than those two things are like the combination. A fucking CG bullet hit with CG blood pouring out, man. Ugh, I hate that shit, dude. But what can you say? It's 2023. It's only going to get worse and worse at this point, because people don't want to spend the time on the craft, and that's the thing that's disappointing. Like, you know, I have a short film in the works that I've you know, been thinking about getting together soon enough, get my little fucking my dad, my brother, my girl, and get another film bumped out. I have another thing filmed that will come out eventually, but a new horror film has definitely got to be made by me, and I'm going to make sure it's nice and bloody and all practical. Like, I didn't get into it. If I could shoot on film, I would shoot on fucking film, first of all, but I only have access to digital, so that's just what I do. But, you know, all manual focus, all that bullshit. But, like, whatever, who gives a fuck about that? The main point is, Three from Hell is a fantastic film, and I love the character at the end, like the Black Satans. I wish there was more of that peppered throughout. I think that would be cool, and for some reason, because I remember when this movie came out, it was around the time that it was like the first time I watched Breaking Bad. And I believe in Breaking Bad, there's a scene where you see Danny Trejo's head like on a turtle. And I thought that was in this fucking movie, but it's not. It's got to be the thing in the Breaking Bad. But excellent stuff, man. Again, Sid Haig, rest in peace. Amazing guy. Met him. Nothing but nice things to say about him. And hopefully he's on the other side with a blunt and a brew. You know what I'm saying? So we'll leave Three from Hell at that. Other than those movies, I have watched some other shit. Like, I watched the 90s show, which is the spin-off of that 70s show. Thought it was alright. I thought the thing at the end, like that twist at the end, I'm not going to spoil it, but that was fucking uncalled for, unneeded, and unwanted. So other than that, I did enjoy it. I liked seeing you know, some of the old characters returning. It was cool to see Eric be like, you know, deliver one of those lines that Red would say, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be in that car or my foot is going to be in your ass. Like, that was cool. And I love how Red was like, I've never been more proud. It's like you hitting your first home run, if that ever happened. Like, you know how Red is. Like, Red was very, if he was rated R in that 70s show, in this movie or in this show, he's rated like PG. You know, he says ass and stuff, but he's not like as brutal or as a tyrant as he once was. He's too nice in this, but what can you say? Kitty is great, obviously, but other than that, like, I don't know if I mentioned or not in a video. I did in a live stream, but I watched the Wednesday show. It was good, but I hope they don't make any more. If they're gonna do anything else with that like franchise, do like a Pugsley show next. Or do like an Uncle Fester show or something. Like, don't fucking drain the Wednesday. Like, they're going to do it. Hopefully that girl is like got the smarts to be like, no, fuck that. That character's done. That story is done. But you know how it goes with this shit. They just keep milking and milking and milking. You know, it's sad. It's sad what happens to like TV shows. That's why I kind of stay away from TV shows, because it only gets more and more depressing as it goes along. And the characters are like, you can tell they don't even really give a fuck. They're phoning it in and, you know. Whatever, man. But other than that, I did make, I shouldn't say I edited this zine, Cinema 187 issue 2, and it kind of, in the blue light, it kind of like goes a little fluorescently and trippy, but I really want to shout out everybody that was a part of this. I'm going to shout them out right now by name. We got Radioactive Blob Fuel, shout out to you, homie. Trash Dash, aka Driller Chiller 2020. We got Cinema Sketchbook. We've got Spark Ive, aka Spark Boy, aka Jules. We got Morbid Thrasher, aka Flesh Parade Records. We've got Asian Shock Shirts, got Jaime Filler, and we've got Retro or Die. So shout out to all those homies that, you know, I basically send the word out and was like, if anybody wants to submit to this, let me know. And 9 people are now in it, so I think that's pretty badass. The issue 1, there's 4 people in, but I didn't really put the word out as much as I did with this one. Like, we made an Instagram and everything. Well, I guess I fucking made it, but been having a lot of fun with this. I want to keep doing this. Shout out to Radioactive Blob Fuel, who I honestly, man, like, that comic book was like insane as it is, but like the fact that I like noticed that little Filthy Ralph, and you know what's crazy, because I was like looking at it, the thing that I was looking at was like the bag of weed. You know what I mean? Because I was like just gonna make the video like I'd read this already, but I was like this in the beginning of the video, and then I just looked at the bag of weed, And I seen the thing, and I was like, oh, fuck, a little brain bleed fucking zine. And I looked at the table, and I seen the Filthy Ralph dude, and I honestly am very grateful and humbled and honored that you would put that in there. As silly as it is, like, Filthy Ralph is like a very silly, vulgar thing, but I think the fact that you did that shows that you're on the same page as me, man, and that's fucking awesome. And I showed my dad this, he loved it. I showed my brother, he loved it. I told you he would get a kick when at the Morgan thing, and in this book there's literally a fucking a thing where it says "fuck you, Morgan." Like, dude, it's fucking crazy. So yeah, shout out to everybody that was a part of Cinema 187 issue 2. Like I said, DM me on Cinema 187, cinema.187 on Instagram. The avatar is like a picture of Chucky reading the first issue. I got to change that to the second issue, but go ahead and you'll be able to check out all the extras that are available. I'm going to be making a standalone video showcasing the zine and everything that's going to... I bit my tongue. Everything that's going to be coming with it. And I think you'll be intrigued, and if anything, you'll be entertained. So with that being said, leave a 666 in the comments, and have a lovely day. Adios. I thought I was going to fucking forget, eh?